Hi, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here at the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you today with a mail haul slash book haul. This weekend was we were doing some traveling because of my wife's grandfather's funeral, and as we went down towards Kansas City, we had stopped at Books Revisited in St. Joe, and I was able to pick up a few volumes and wanted to share those with you. And then even before we left, I got some mail that I'd like to share with you. So without further ado, here we go. I have some, and let me tear this off. I have some subscriptions to a few magazines. You know, sometimes they'll send a real cheap subscription offer, and sometimes I take them up on that offer. I don't have a lot of magazine subscriptions just because it becomes costly after a while, and sometimes I get a little behind on reading them, and then I get frustrated that I'm not getting them read. But anyway, Smithsonian Magazine had a cheap subscription through the mail, and that one came in this weekend. And so, you know, this, you can see the title there, The Defiance of Florence Nightingale. I actually have a kid doing a History Day project, a young lady doing a History Day project on her. And so I thought, man, that'll be pretty good timing for that article. So I got to give that a good read. That was one of them that came in. Smithsonian's always got some pretty cool stuff in it. It's not just American history. It'll go around the world with some of the stuff. But it's always pretty good history stuff. And so that's one of the magazines that came in. And then another magazine that I'd gotten a subscription to, it was a couple months ago. I bought it, and it was American History Magazine. And I did get my first magazine in a couple weeks ago. And one of the reasons I did the subscription was because you got the real cheap rate. It was, $24, $22, something like that. You got a year subscription. And then if you returned the little mailer in within 5 days, you also got the two special edition, collector's edition magazines. And guess what? One is on George Washington, one is on Abraham Lincoln, and what better people to get, you know, free magazines about. So I was pretty pumped up about that. But again, I turned that in. It was a couple months ago I turned that in, and I never got those magazines. And I started thinking, man, I'm going to have to, you know, give them a call and see if I got my paperwork, because I turned it in the next day. So I got it in within 5 days, and I needed to, you know, I thought maybe I needed to check up on that. But sure enough, on yesterday, those magazines came in. And so I was pretty pumped up with, you know, Washington in his own words. So, you know, every article, it's not a super big magazine, but it's pretty healthy in its size. Let me see if I can turn here and show you some of these pictures. But it's high quality, glossy paper, you know, good magazine. Several different articles in here dealing with different issues from Washington's life, from the Revolution through his presidency, all kinds of stuff. As you can, I don't know if you can quite see that, but anyway, I'm excited to read that. I'm super stoked to read that magazine. I was pretty pumped up, and you know, when you start thinking about your own collection, you're wondering, you know, do I have a good collection or not? Is this starting to work out? And on the back page of this, it had some, you know, select books on George Washington, and I got to looking at that. Well, I've got that one, I've got that one, I've got that one, and I've got that one right there. So I actually have 4 of the 6 books that they are advertising. So I thought, you know, my Washington collection's not that bad. I was pretty happy with that. But anyway, that was one of the magazines. And then the other one, like I said, was on Abraham Lincoln. So you can see that one. That was, and as I flip through this, it's a lot of the same stuff. You know, a lot of really good photos and dealing with his youth and his presidency and going through the Civil War. Some of those old black and white photos. You guys are probably familiar with most of those photos. You know, there's the classic one of him and McClellan. Several different battlefield shots. Here's one with Frederick Douglass. got a young lady doing a paper on Frederick Douglass. I'm looking forward to reading that when she gets done. Picture with him and Tad. So really good photos. I've yet to look at the stories because I was finishing this other library book that I had. But anyway, good stuff. If you've never been to history.net, I think that, let me double check that, make sure that's what the, let's see. Yeah, historynet.com, excuse me, historynet.com. They've got all kinds of various history magazines that you can get subscriptions to. And I've had subscriptions to several of them throughout the years at various times. If I was rich, I'd have subscriptions to all of them, but, you know, you can only dream. But, you know, they've got Civil War Times, America's Civil War. Both of those I've had subscriptions to. I have a subscription to American History Magazine. They've got one for the Wild West. I've bought magazines from that before. They got one for Vietnam, World War II. I had a subscription to the World War II one at one time. They got Military History Quarterly, Military History, British Magazine, and Aviation History. And I think there's been a couple of others that, you know, in the past. I believe they've had a couple others, but they've just discontinued them. But it's good stuff. I would highly recommend it. You know, the authors of some of these articles that are in here are big name authors. H.W. Brands. I've seen Joseph Ellis in here before. I've seen James McPherson. You know, just various authors for the articles, but they're all big name people. So it's not like you're getting podunk authors. It's good stuff. So anyway, so then yesterday when we were headed down to Kansas City for the funeral, we had stopped. My wife and my daughter had to get the rings inspected at the jewelry store to get the insurance renewed on that. And so while we were there, I said, "Hey, do you mind if I stop at Books Revisited?" And she was all right with that. So I was like a kid in a candy store, like always. And I picked up 4 volumes. The first volume that I was able to find that looked like it was of interest to me was The President's Wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, a biography by Ishbel Ross. And so I had never heard of her before. You guys might be familiar with her, but I hadn't heard of her. And you know, it's a good sized volume, and so I was kind of excited to pick that up. I know it's not Lincoln, but close enough. It's about as close as you can get without it being Lincoln. So I'm going to give that a read and see how that is. And it's in okay condition. It's not in great condition. This looks like it was probably a book that was donated to Books Revisited. It's not a well, I take that back. Maybe it was a library edition at one time. It's got a call number on the side there. Just doesn't have the tape and the sticker. But anyway, it looks like it's had its you know, its day. It's just aged, right? It's just aged. And then here's another one that I found that I was real excited about because I saw this on somebody else's channel, and I have a subscription to her channel, and I cannot remember her name, so I'm really hoping that she will forgive me for forgetting. She's a British gal, and she does nonfiction, but it's all with the British royalty, or almost all of it anyway. And I saw this book here, Crown of Blood: The Deadly Inheritance of Lady Jane Grey by Nicola Tallis, and I'm pretty sure that's where I saw it. It was on the British gal's channel, and again, forgive me for forgetting her name right off the top of my head here, but I will see if I can find her video and put a link down, since I'm guessing I kind of owe her that, since I can't remember her name. Please forgive me. But anyway, this looked like it was a pretty good book. I've got some other books back on the shelf on the British Royals, and yeah, it just looked good. So, and it's also in really good shape. Really good shape. Here is one that the guy that was working at the desk pointed out to me. I actually missed it. He had it stuck up in the window, and sometimes I kind of go fast by the window just because the stuff he's got in the window is usually a little higher priced. You know, I may have told you before that the paperbacks at Books Revisited are just $1 and the hardbacks are $2. And so I usually just go straight to the shelves where I know the pricing, because the stuff he's got up in the window can could be up to, $10-15 sometimes. Usually it's not too bad, but I'm looking to, dig through the cheaper stuff. But up in the window was a book for $1, and I was pretty excited about this. And it is The Hollow Crown, The Wars of the Roses and the Rise of the Tudors by Dan Jones. Now, I've been wanting to collect Dan Jones. He's a pretty popular writer with British history, and I've seen a lot of his stuff on people's channels, and I've seen a lot of his stuff in at the bookstore at like Barnes and Noble, but it's always priced, just out of my price range. Not that it's like super expensive, but as I've shared with you, I'm kind of a cheapskate. I like to buy things. I like to buy things at the lowest rate. So anyway, I thought for $1, that's a pretty good steal deal, and maybe this could be the beginning of starting my Dan Jones collection. I'd like to get a lot of those books to help me with my world history class. So I was pretty excited to pick that up. And then the last one in this book haul it's a little bit different. This is it's called The Washingtons, George and Martha, Joined by Friendship, Crowned by Love by Flora Fraser. Now, the reason this is a little bit different is, look at that cover there. This is not a finished product. This is from Alfred A. Knopf out of New York. Publication date is the 5th of November, 2015. It's going to be a $30 book, 448 pages, but this particular volume is an uncorrected proof, so it should not be quoted without comparison with the finished book. In other words, I think this is like one of the, and I could be wrong, so please forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think this is like one of the copies that they send out just for publicity before they get the thing finalized. But this is what the front cover will look like, I believe. Okay, so that's what it looks like, and this doesn't have a back. It doesn't have what the back cover will look like. So this is an unfinished copy. So this will be an interesting read, and if it's good, I'm going to probably look to find the finished copy, the actual, not with the red cover and everything. But I thought that was kind of neat. I did, unfortunately, if you can see, the book got a little dinged. It was sitting on the floorboard in the back seat, and something got stuck on top of it and bent it, and that kind of irritated me because I'm a little bit anal about, taking care of my books, and I didn't do a very good job with this one, but that's all right. So anyway, that was my book haul. I know it was a short one, but, you don't have to get 30 books every time you go out. You can just pick up a few here and there. But I wanted to share those with you. Tell me what you think. And if you enjoyed the video, please like the video down below. Subscribe to my channel and be sure to share it with others. And until next time, happy reading.